afternoon, miss.
Oh, good afternoon.
The principal told me that I could find you here. I am Charlotte Comock. I have a daughter here and I have a few questions to ask you.
Okay, I'm Evadne Brown, head of department. I don't know if the principal told you
Yes,
that.
he did.
Pleased to meet you, and please have a seat.
Thank you.
How may I help you today?
Okay, miss. I have a daughter, Nadia Lane. She's in 10M. Her teacher has been on sick leave, so I did not get a chance to speak with her. You see, she's preparing for the CSEC English A examination. I'm a mathematician and I really want to assist her, but I don't know how. She really has a problem with story writing. So I really wanted to share with me some strategies that I could use with her to help her to develop her skills to write stories.
I will be very happy to assist you.
And I would be really grateful.
So short story writing is that activity that will give your child the perfect opportunity to free her creative imagination. You know, young people are by nature very creative, and so this is one avenue through which they can release that creative ability that they have. In addition to that, short story writing allows students to bring together, I don't want to give you the teacher word, oh well, you're a teacher yourself, of integrating or putting together certain skills that they have learned in other areas as well outside of English. And some of these skills, just a few of these skills are interpreting. So the child has to interpret experiences and scenarios before he or she begins to write a story. So for example, if a situation is provided, then the child will have to look at that situation that is given in a prompt or question. If a topic is given, the child has to do this interpretation before the writing process begins. The child has to make connections with what he or she knows. They have to imagine. So while we don't want them to go off on some strange, wild thoughts, we want them to imagine. We want students to recreate some of the experiences that they have had either directly or indirectly. Indirectly through reading perhaps, watching a movie, and directly through their own experiences, which we're giving value to. And of course, sharing these ideas with others so that others can enjoy or reflect or learn a lesson from their stories.
Okay. All right.
So one great way to begin the process in helping your child is to help your child to first of all get acquainted with the syllabus. So you have a question?
Yes, I do. Where can I obtain a copy of the syllabus?
Wow. That's a good question. Have no worry though. The syllabus is easily accessible in the CSEC online store.
Okay, let me write that down.
And guess what? At an affordable price while you're writing, an affordable cost of $0 Jamaican dollars.
Wow.
Now, in the syllabus, there is one main objective that focuses on story writing. Or short story writing to be exact, because these students will not be writing a book. But there are several other objectives that could feed into story writing, but the main objective that I'll be focusing on today is that objective that says give aesthetic satisfaction to others in personal, creative, and imaginative language.
Wow. That's a mouthful.
Now those words, let me emphasize again, personal. That's why we say we want students to connect their story to self, to experiences that they have had about others, about themselves, their communities, and being creative and being imaginative. And in order to do this, they will be organizing, this is another part of the said objective, organizing and sequencing ideas to communicate emotional and imaginative interpretations of their experiences.
Okay.
And that's why we spoke about recreating. And using language effectively. So things that they have learned about, such as tone and mood, register, and whether formal or informal register, the code and the style, using language for specific purposes and audiences. So when they write their story, which will have different context, because one part of a story could have a formal context,
Right.
another part of a story could have an informal context. And so we would want to see the child using the language appropriate to those different contexts and situations in the same story.
Okay.
So
Right.
that part of the objective, again, using language such as tone, mood, register, code, and style appropriate to particular situations and contexts.
Right.
And as I indicated before, there are other objectives in the syllabus that relate to things like grammar and figurative devices, etc. And the student will be required to draw on these. So though I have not highlighted all of these different objectives,
Right.
it is hoped that the child will draw on, more than
Integrate
hoped, it is
everything together.
expected that the child will draw on these different skills to produce a good story.
Okay.
So the main aim of short story writing in the syllabus is to assess your child's ability to
Right.
express herself
Right.
creatively in continuous prose.
Okay. Great.
So this is different from poetry now. So the
Right.
kind of narrative writing, that continuous writing, we're expecting the student to be able to express him or herself, in your daughter's case,
Right.
herself.
Right.
Now, paper 2 is the paper on which the short story is assessed.
Okay. How many questions are they given?
So they're given 2 questions on the short story, and it's question 3 or question 4.
Okay.
And here the student, the candidate, is expected or required to select one of these 2 questions.
Okay. And they're always in question format?
Not at all. So it may vary. Sometimes it may include a picture, or it may include a situation or a title. And so we that's why we advise candidates to read very carefully. Don't just jump and start writing,
Right.
but look to see what format the question takes and what is required of you. Now, just to make you know that the importance of this segment and how the marks are allotted.
Right.
So the dimension that is it is in paper 2, section 3, as I said before, question 3 or 4. The dimension that is being assessed is expression. That is the
Okay.
area that is very critical,
Expression.
because it determines to a great extent whether the candidate gets a 1 or 2, 3 or 4. For
Okay.
years in Jamaica, we have had that problem with expression.
Right.
So candidates have a lot of ideas in their heads, but when they start
To put it on
writing,
paper.
the sentences fall apart. Their ideas are not clear. Their ideas are not interesting. They're using stale expressions, nothing creative, nothing original. And so in this dimension, we're looking for that to see how the candidate expresses him or herself. The grammar, which, as you know, in our language context,
Right.
where English is a second language for many of our children,
Right.
expression is a problem.
Problem.
But 25 marks are allotted to candidates in this area, which is 23.8% of the paper and 11.9%, that's almost 12% of the overall examination.
Okay.
So we see that short story writing plays a very critical role on this paper. Now, in terms of the word limit, sometimes we have candidates going off and exceeding the word limit or being way below. So in this examination, it is 400 to 450 words that are expected. And very critically, the candidate must write in standard English. But guess what? The examination allows for the use of the dialect.
Oh, I was going to ask you.
Yes, but in conversations, or what the students are taught as a dialogue.
Okay.
So because we want characters to be authentic, and in being authentic, they're using their own language, whatever that language may be.
Right.
We allow the candidates to make the characters true by interjecting dialect, where this becomes relevant, where it will make the writing come alive.
Let's take a break, and we'll be right back.